Welcome. We are so glad to have you with us.
It's always like that. There's that
Hello.
countdown,
Yeah, and then
pause,
boom. And then boom, we're with you. We are with you. You are with us. We are all here together. And there are 5 of you and us together right now,
Ooh.
right? That's what I'm seeing. Oh, down to 4.
What?
Hey, come back.
Back over here.
Come back.
That might have
Come
been me.
back. You
Is it-
left us?
Is it back now?
I'm looking to see if we have any comments yet. I'm looking for those comments to fly in. They're going to fly in.
Are you getting a
comments.
video feed yet?
Yep. Oh, no, I'm not.
It'll just take a second, I think.
Hello.
I can hear it.
I can hear it, yep, and I'm getting captions. I'm
But
not.
just seeing at the table with no video.
Boom.
Sometimes it takes a moment.
Hey, that was a Chris fault. It's fine. I've been on vacation all week. Kind of. It's been
That's
great.
all right, dude. We'll figure it out on the fly. We
Kind
have
of.
there's no problem.
That's right.
So
There it
we
is.
are.
Nice.
Hi.
Everyone looks so nice.
Hey,
I look like I'm laying down over here, lounging. I'm chilling out.
Chairs are comfortable.
you have a nice sweater though.
Thank you.
You do have a nice
I like your
sweater.
sweater.
Thank you guys. I appreciate that. I've had several comments on the sweater today. I guess
I don't
better
like
keep
your sweater.
rolling. Oh, there
Wow.
we go. There it is.
Hey, so it turns out I'm not a fan of your sweater. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it.
Okay, you want me to rip it off?
Is
that what you're saying?
Yes,
He's like, do it. He would dare me to do it.
Oh my god.
Devil dog dare you.
Tana's
No.
like, no. Tana's like watching. She's like, no, don't rip it
Do
off.
not
Don't rip it
rip
off.
your sweater off, Brent. So welcome. We're glad you're with us. You joined the us that is. This is who we are. This is how we are all the time. So it's good to be with you guys. We're loving studying Colossians together. And we got many of us to comment today, so I want to jump right into it so we don't run out of time. We are in Colossians 1:21. We're moving right along. 21 through 23 today. And I am going to read from, well, first of all, Lord, thank you that you're in this right
Yeah.
now. We don't have to try to ask you to show up, but
That's right.
thank you that as we each share today, and as those that are with us online share, God, I thank you that we all walk away from this with our hearts, that our hearts not burn within us as you open the scriptures and reveal you to us in the word today. So thank you, Lord, that we're all going to receive from you as we hear from one another. It's we have the mind of Christ. Thank you for that, God. In Jesus' name.
Yeah. Amen.
So I'm going to read from, I always love to give you guys an opportunity to guess the translation. Like that's really important.
It is. New King James.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
You saw
Who's
it.
Nuki?
No, I didn't actually. Well, I see it right here,
Oh, but you didn't
but
see
I
it
don't
up
see
there.
the version.
Yeah, you didn't see it.
I was gonna say
You got it. I'm surprised.
Those words look old.
it
It's
is
like you
interesting to me that you choose this version.
I did today. I read from a bunch of them. Just
Can
like
you give
guys.
us a why
Um,
before you start?
as we walk through it, the way that verse 21 is translated. So I'll read it. And you who once were alienated and enemies in your mind. The way that the New King James Version translates that phrase, having read it from several translations, and they're all pretty close to that.
Mm-hmm.
But the way that it reads, I think, is accurate to where I will lead into later that I feel like the Lord spoke to me. So that particular part of it. So
Well, and I'll wait. I won't say that one. I'll find something else.
yeah, no, you can.
But
do
to
it.
be fair, I think I got that perspective from you anyway.
You may, who knows? But I'm going to hear what you got. So if you guys share what I was going to share, so what? Who cares?
Yeah.
And you who once were alienated, don't comment, Brent, and enemies in your mind by wicked works, yet now he has reconciled in the body of his flesh through death to present you holy and blameless and above reproach in his sight, if indeed you continue in the faith, grounded and steadfast, and are not moved away from the hope of the gospel which you heard, which was preached to every creature under heaven, of which I, Paul, became a minister. Lots and lots.
There's a lot there.
So today, I think last week we started with TJ. Right? So Jamie's here, so we will start with Jamie.
No.
This today.
No.
I'll start. I don't care.
So we won't start with
I'll
Jamie.
start.
We will start with we'll start with Chris.
I'm just
We'll go
reading it.
Chris.
So.
Okay, gotcha. We're
I don't
just
know.
blessed to have you in the room,
Yes,
actually.
thank you.
That you actually were able to get
I'll
away.
say something.
I just saw his face.
Mostly participation.
Okay,
was like,
I got you.
Wow, okay, I'll do
You're
it.
you're the servant that said no.
I mean,
In
I
the
could,
parable.
but I
No, you could bust it out and preach it, but let's say that you're the servant in Jesus' parable that said no, but still went ahead and did what, and instead of the servant that said yes and didn't do it, you're the one that's justified.
He just deferred to the second half.
Nice.
Exactly.
Just
There you
admitted
go.
he wasn't ready. That's all.
That's all.
Oh.
There's nothing wrong with that.
We all have.
So we'll go Chris, Ryan, Jamie, TJ. How's that sound?
All right.
Oh, wow.
Fourth. You
That
went from
sounds
first to
great.
fourth.
Clean up.
Boom.
Yep, you're the
Sounds
home
great.
run today.
Deal.
Yeah, and then I'll just get on base again.
Okay.
All by
Oh yeah,
myself.
kind of.
Yep.
Just kind of start all over.
All
You
right.
can go back to back. You just won't have any RBIs. Well, you
Oh.
have one RBI. You'll have yourself.
Sweet.
Run
What-
batted in.
Okay, I was
Run,
going to say what's an
batted.
RBI.
Yeah.
So you hit a home run after I hit a home run.
Oh, that's how it works. Okay.
Okay.
I just don't have any RBIs.
You're
Ryan.
technically an RBI.
I'm Ryan, Brent, and who's I? I.
Oh.
Okay.
And it just
Ignacio.
It just all broke.
All right, Chris.
Yeah. Well, with what you had been said about being enemies with God, it clearly says in our minds. I won't go as deep into that part because I think that's going to be touched on here. But with that, it kind of made me think about why would we make ourselves an enemy in our own minds. It doesn't say we're an enemy because of our evil behavior. It says in our own minds, and you think why? Even to the people that don't know God or say I'm not religious or whatever, they feel this degree of shame, and it's cool that it points to our creation, no matter if they are learned or not. Like no matter what level of knowledge they have in faith or lack thereof, they still have this shame from a behavior. They still have this love that they don't even know about, but they can feel it inside that something was off because they did something. So this offness that they feel then creates that animosity. Even if they don't know God, they're like, okay, I can't reach this mark. And they create this thing in their head out of shame. And I think it's beautiful. It points to our making. Even the person that would put all the labels on themselves that are anti-God, they still feel this thing that God put inside of ourselves when they act a certain way or when they act unvaluable almost. It says evil behavior in this translation, but it's almost like it's unvaluable, and they know it. They know that what they're doing or talking like doesn't hit this mark of value that has been made in them. They don't know why. They don't know why there's morality. They don't know why there might be a grid for good and evil or for valuable and unvaluable, but it's there. And because their conscious mind or their spirit man, reborn or not, still knows that they're valuable. So they come up with this guilt, or this guilt starts to kind of set in. And that's why I believe it says in our own minds, because it's not actually real.
Come on, bro.
But the real part is I won't. But the
No,
real,
go there.
but
Go
the
wherever
real
you
part,
wanna go.
but the real part is the value that they know. No matter if they have learned knowledge of who they are in the kingdom or not, they can feel that it's anti-value. So they therefore say, "I'm not valuable," and then that enemy mindset starts to kick in. Like, I am unvaluable because I'm behaving in an unvaluable way. Therefore, I'm an enemy of anything that's valuable.
Yeah.
whether or not you know it. But I think it's so cool because you can't get away from the fact that there is a built-in value that everybody feels.
That's
Just like
good.
we're a built-in image. Well, I can act like God and not be a Christian. It's like, well, yeah, because you're the image of this invisible God. Same thing, like, well, I can be convicted and not be a Christian or whatever. It's like, well, no. Oh, well, of course you can be convicted because God put that in you, that inherent value that we feel as living, breathing. And speaking of breathing, I just learned this weekend that that's the sound of Yahweh. I didn't know that. Yeah, someone told me that this weekend. It was so beautiful. That every breath.
Abraham.
Yeah. So it's just that built-inness. I guess I'm just putting into that built-inness that
That's good.
that we get even disconnected from what reality is in our own minds, and that's a hellscape actually. It really, really can be. I don't want to. I'm trying to tiptoe because I don't want to go as far into
You go
it. I think
anywhere
you're
you
bringing.
wanna go,
But I just
man.
love the inherent value that every creature, and I could even go down to the bottom of this where it says, this is the gospel that you've heard that's been proclaimed to every creature. Even if it's not in words, every creature knows, every being knows that it's been proclaimed to them. And now we're all servants, as Paul has stated that he is. Now we're all servants to that truth, which is the gospel. It's just beautiful, the value statement that I'm getting
Come on.
from that first part, because you alienate yourself. You do the alienation because you know that what you did wasn't in line with who you are. And even if, like I said, even if you don't know any of the language or the verbiage, but you still know it was beneath you for some reason. Even without knowing God, you know that it was beneath you, whatever you just did. And I think that's because we know our value, because we can feel where we came from, even if we don't know it. So, and it's beautiful.
Even Tupac has a ruach.
That's right, he does. That's right, he does. Did whatever.
He did.
What are you talking about? Tupac's still alive.
Yeah.
What do you
Oh,
mean?
yeah, that's good.
Tupac's still alive.
Okay.
Yeah,
He's
questionable.
had a ruach.
There are pictures.
Him and Elvis.
Just took
Hanging out.
down that road.
Awesome.
Okay, so there's a couple things.
That's
I'm
good,
reading from
Chris.
ESV, but I'm not gonna read it over because it's like kind of like Brent said, they're all pretty similar. But what was sticking out to me, I think we hear a lot about the cross and like the sacrifice Jesus made, but we don't always realize like what that means for us. And I think in 21 or in 22, it says he's now reconciled his body of flesh by his death in order to, so this is what happens to us. He presents us holy, blameless, and above reproach before him.
Gosh, that's
Actually, there's
powerful.
4 things. Presents us above reproach, and then before him. Those are kind of 2 things. So it's like, but I'll go
That's
into it. It's
so
like,
good.
it's like this, there's a lot of people out there that it's kind of like this inherent thing that you're talking about, like we want to do right. There's a lot of people, I remember before I was a believer, I wanted to do what was right. Like there was just something in me, and I didn't want to get in trouble, but there's just people who want to do what's right, and they found these forms and functions to try, these laws and all of that to try and get them to do what's right. And of course they fail, and there's shame that comes with that, there's condemnation that comes with that, there's this always wondering like, why can't I do it right, why can't I get there? And like I think this is just really good news for the person who decides to follow Jesus. Like there's no ritual, there's no like duty, it's you believe, you simply believe, because this is written to the believers. He's talking to the saints and faithful brothers, and so it's like when you believe in Jesus, this is what happens. You are blameless, you're above reproach, and you're holy. And it's I think that just is good news. And it also is like made me think like for a long time, or it made me think like a lot of times we're trying to like merit God's attention. Like we've got to do something to get his attention. Whether that's like, all right, I'm going to run this ministry, or I'm going to pray longer. I like what Justin said on Sunday. You're going to double down on fasting and double down on prayer to try and get God's attention. When it's like, when I was reading this is like, okay, when God's eyes are going to and fro throughout the earth, okay, if we are going to go based on merit, let's just play that game like God is actually looking for a merit, although he's not. But when he finds somebody who's wholly blameless and above reproach, like his eyes are locked in. And so when we give our lives to Jesus, like here we are, we're holy, we're blameless, we're above reproach before him. Like we have his attention. We have his full attention. And not like we didn't before.
Yeah.
But it's like, man, we get so many good things when we surrender, when we give our lives to him. Like he did so much to get us to this place of just holiness, blamelessness, and being above reproach. It's like, oh, man, I have his attention. I have his full attention.
Yeah.
And he's not going anywhere. Like that excited me. And I was thinking about the alienated part in the first part. And like, I think when people are older and they come to the Lord later in life, it's kind of easier to go, oh yeah, I remember when I was led by the flesh.
Yeah.
I remember when all I was going off of was like learned behaviors of how to be really bad. And also just like listening to the enemy rather than God. Like, I remember, like, he's talking about how in 1921 you were alienated and hostile in mind in doing evil deeds. I remember like walking down my high school hallway and just like, thinking so many evil things. Like in Galatians 5 it talks about like the works of the flesh and all these things like rivalries, fits of anger, impurities, immorality, idolatry, sorcery, all this stuff. And I remember being in high school and like totally like having that on my mind and like just know it. And I just even knew, I'm like, I don't care that it's evil, and I don't want to listen to anybody that tells me that it's not, because I just want to do my own thing. And then I realized like the grace of God and you know, surrendered to him, and then he just comes in and he changes everything. But there is and I know you guys will probably get into the alienation part, but it's not, you know, and it's not that God wasn't there. You know, it's not that he wasn't like giving me every breath that I have, or giving all of us. You know, he said he sends the rain on the righteous and the unrighteous. You know, like he's with us all, but yet some just don't want him. They're hostile towards him, and yet he's working. He's still like working things out for the good for them. But like
come on, Ryan.
there is this place. When you don't know the Lord, you're so confused, and your own flesh and your own mind is hostile towards him. And it takes Jesus coming in and taking over for you to begin to realize like who he is and how good he is, and like function in a place of like the fruits of the Spirit rather than the fruits of the flesh. And so, I just thought it was good.
Good. I love it. Everybody bring what you have. That's awesome, Ryan.
Yeah,
and I value hearing that, because my experience was giving my life to Christ at 6.
At 6, I remember you saying that.
Yeah, so
and
the hearing that, like, I remember before I knew about and had an encounter with faith in Christ. That's powerful.
Yeah, and I mean, when I was 18 or 17, I wanted to play the Ouija board. I wanted to kiss the girls playing spin the bottle. I wanted to, get in fights. I wanted to see people bleed. Like, I just wanted to. Why? Because that my flesh, like my own members, desired that.
Yeah.
And it was completely wrong, yet I wanted it.
Yeah.
And it took Jesus to save me from that kind of thinking. You know, and even at the same time, while those things were going on, like I wanted to be good, I just couldn't do it. I tried and tried. I wanted to be. I just couldn't do it.
Romans 7.
And then Jesus was just like, all right, here's your chance. Just surrender. Give me it all. Gladly. All right, have my life. And then he comes in house and purges all that stuff and makes you a new creation, which I think is so cool.
Thank you, Ryan.
Come on.
Come on, we get your testimony mingled in, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you, Jamie?
Come on.
Wait, was it Jamie? Yeah, because then TJ gets to
Oh,
hit
yeah.
a home run.
They're
Wait,
batter.
Jamie was
They're
it?
batter.
Was
They're usually pretty good.
Sir, was it?
Batter, 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 batter.
Pastor Jamie.
Yeah, no, I love
TJ.
what you said about that. And it's like, you know, because I was just thinking when you're just talking about the being alienated, it's like I can be in my house with my own family and alienate myself from them, you know, and still be with them
Mm-hmm.
physically. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
like
yeah,
it's
yeah.
kind of a big thing, you know.
Mhm.
And NIV it kind of has in your minds too. So like once you're alienated from God and we're enemies in your minds because of your evil behavior, and it's interesting. Like it's so powerful. Like how important our thought life is, and like even when we have like it's almost like you're alienated from God when you kind of put that in your mind, like that of evil behavior. And I feel like when you have closeness with God, like in your mind, like that evil is far from you.
Yeah.
And so like it just feels like, because it says, you know, your enemies in your minds because of your evil behavior. So you're doing these evil things and it's in your mind, you are far away from God. Even though he could be right there in your face, you are putting him way out there.
Yeah.
And when you get close with him, like with intimacy, it's like the evil things get far from you, you know? And then it checks you too. So when you do have those maybe thoughts that aren't your own or aren't according to, you know, your relationship with him, according to like what you know, it kind of like creates a really big red flag, like, whoa. But I even think even before you know Jesus, like I think even before that there's something innate, because he did it for all creation, you know. So you look around and you're in the way that he created us, it's like there's this innate thing. But I think like with closeness, you kind of are empowered to just like, nope, that's way over there now, instead of, oh, I'm gonna just put God way over there now.
No kidding.
No, that stuff's over there.
And where is it? So like, you know, it says he has reconciled you by Christ's physical body through death to present you holy in his sight, without blemish and free from accusation. If you continue in your faith, established and firm, and do not move from the hope held out in the gospel. And that just really spoke to me, like, do not move from the hope held out in the gospel. Hope is so valuable. Like, I remember even in my college years, I thought, it's almost like a worldview of hope. I'm like, who needs hope, you know? Like, if you're just hoping, it means you're not, like, believing, you're not, you know? Like, it was such a skewed view. It was like, you know, you're kind of just, it's hard to explain, but it was just kind of weird. Like, and I realize that now because, I mean, even someone was saying, like, yeah, I just need to keep hoping, you know? And I'm just like, come on, like, get out of that, you know? But it's like,
do it.
But like, I think over the years, like with God, and actually soon after that, he started speaking to me like how important and valuable hope is. And, you know, he's saying like, do not move from the hope held out in the gospel. And I feel like, you know, that verse, like, hope deferred makes the heart grow sick.
Yep.
And I think it's not, you know, it says hope deferred. It doesn't say the things that are hoped for being deferred. It's like your hope being deferred. So like, even if you're not experiencing the things you're hoping for, you cannot let your hope be deferred.
That's good.
And that, like, so you're sitting there like holding on to that hope, not like, do not move from it. you know, that hope held out in the gospel. And you know, what's the gospel? You know, it's like you can go all day about that.
Yeah.
But you know, it says the gospel you heard and has been proclaimed to every creature under heaven. And so it's like, and I think in context, it's like reconciling all of creation, like including you, you know, like, and it's such a powerful thing. And it just really gives me like, it gets me kind of excited, because like you look at creation, you're going like, what else, you know, like what else has not been revealed yet, you know, like to solve the environmental problems, or you know, even just something as simple as a peanut or a watermelon, like what uses could be like that haven't been discovered yet, or
Come on, George Washington Carver.
Yeah.
you know?
That's right.
But it's like there's so much much that, and that's us to come into who we are and kind of partner with God to reveal those things, like even like just speaking to creation and just pulling out the goodness that God placed in it, you know, and in us too, like you know. And that's the thing, is when we set our minds that we're not alienated from God, we're not enemies of God, that we are free from accusation. Because like it's so hard, you know. I think Chris Valentin always said, like, you know, you're dead to sin and alive to Christ. Like if you're still in that mode of like, I'm a sinner, and you're kind of dragging around a dead body, you know. And it gives you this visual, like, am I just like, you know, like I don't need to be doing this anymore, you know? Like I'm free from accusation. Like that's not going to serve me at all. Like that's not going to serve me. And it kind of makes me wonder too. I know I'm talking a lot because it's a little all over the place, but I also wondered, like, what was life like a few thousand years ago, before Jesus, you know? And like, because we're talking about these things as like, okay, like what was like all the things that have been reconciled, you know, what's the shift that maybe we didn't exist that far back, you know? We can look at historical records and whatever have you, but like, what was it really like living, you know, in those times where now we've seen the kingdom advance so much. We've seen like things get better and better. I know the talk is everything is horrible, but like if you look at the death rate and the amount of wars and you know, all the barbaric things that have happened, and you know, babies being born and actually living, you know, and being able to grow up, like if you just look at all the stats, like it's so different than 3,000 years ago. So it's like, it just makes me wonder, even in the mind, like just being so thankful, like we have Jesus. Like he did it. Like he reconciled things.
Come on, that's a good word.
That's really good.
That's all I got.
No, come on. That's good, man. This whole plate is full of meat and potatoes.
Yeah, that's so good.
Come on.
Potatoes.
Let's have another bite of ribeye. Come on.
So, this was one of the it's always funny how God orchestrates things, right? And usually I'm like walking